Chapter 11. Open thy doors, O Lebanon, that the fire may devour thy cedars. Howl, fir tree, for the cedar is fallen, because the mighty art spoiled. Howl, O ye oaks of Bashan, for the forest of the vintage is come down. There is a voice of the howling of the shepherds, for their glory is spoiled, a voice of the roaring of young lions, for the pride of Jordan is spoiled. Thus saith the Lord my God, feed the flock of the slaughter, whose possessors slay them, and hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them say, Blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. For I will no more pity the inhabitants of the land, saith the Lord, but lo, I will deliver the men, every one into his neighbor's hands, and into the hand of his king. And they shall smite the land, and out of their hand will I not deliver them. And I will feed the flock of slaughter, even you, O poor of the flock. And I took unto me 2 staves, the one I called Beauty, and the other I called Bands, and I fed the flock. 3 shepherds also I cut off in 1 month, and my soul loathed them, and their soul also abhorred me. Then said I will not feed you. That dieth, let it die. And that is to be cut off, let it be cut off. And let the rest eat every one the flesh of another. And I took my staff, even Beauty, and cut it asunder, that I might break my covenant, which I had made with all the people. And it was broken in that day, and so the poor of the flock that waited upon me knew that it was the word of the Lord. And I said unto them, If ye think good, give me my price, and if not, forbear. So they weighed for me 30 pieces of silver. And the Lord said unto me, Cast it unto the potter, a goodly price that I was prized of at them. And I took the 30 pieces of silver, and cast them to the potter in the house of the Lord. Then I cut asunder mine other staff, even Bands, that I might break the brotherhood between Judah and Israel. And the Lord said unto me, Take unto thee yet the instruments of a foolish shepherd. For lo, I will raise up a shepherd in the land, which shall not visit those that be cut off, neither shall seek the young one, nor heal that is broken, nor feed that standeth still. But he shall eat the flesh of the fat, and tear their claws in pieces. Woe to the idle shepherd that leaveth the flock! The sword shall be upon his arm, and upon his right eye. His arm shall be clean dried up, and his right eye shall be utterly darkened. Chapters 11, 12, and 13 of Zechariah deal with Armageddon. And in case you've forgotten, the Battle of Armageddon will take place outside of, and around, the valley of Jezreel, which has a city at it called Megiddo, which in English is actually called Armageddon. And there the nations of the world, the enemies of the world, will gather against Israel and will fight against Israel. There will be some tremendous opposition that will be mounted, and eventually part of the city will be captured. The Savior will appear on the Mount of Olives. The Mount of Olives will split in half. The remnant of the people in Jerusalem will escape. They will recognize that the Savior who was crucified was Jesus Christ, is in fact their literal and physical Savior, and there will be an acceptance of him as the Savior that they waited so long for. And first, chapter 12 is an introduction to chapter 12 and 13. 12 and 13 are much weightier matters. Verses 1 to 3, it talks about the cedars and cypresses of Lebanon and the oaks of Bashan. Now, Bashan was an area to the east of Lebanon and the east of the northern part of Israel. And Lebanon was famous for the cedar trees and for the cypress trees, and Bashan for the oaks. And there were huge forests of these humongous trees, 125, 150 feet tall, huge branches, thick trunks, just incredibly magnificent trees. And here, and the same for the cedars and the same for the oaks of Bashan, and here they are symbolic of all things wonderful, magnificent, lofty, and exalted in the world. They only apply partly. The image of them in their loftiness and their grandeur is applied to people who have lofty positions, grand positions in the face of the world, well thought of. And there will be many of those people who will gather against Israel. Many of those people who will want to take advantage of the collapse of Israel, they believe, to enrich themselves. It talks about the fall of Lebanon, and the fall of Lebanon was partly true and partly figurative. Figurative meaning sort of just an analogy, just a story. And just as if the trees were all chopped down, that would be the end of the forests of the trees. The forests were emblematic of Lebanon. And so if you cut down all the trees, you might be able to say that Lebanon had been destroyed. Although it would still exist as a country, it would still have other things beside the trees. But if the trees that were its emblem were cut down, then you could say it was destroyed, and it was partly destroyed. The same with Israel, only Israel was more destroyed in the sense that all of the people, it was depopulated totally, and the land was laid waste. And so all of the loftiness of some of the richest people in Israel ceased to exist. All their wealth was taken away, and they were taken in chains to Babylon. The idea in verses 4 to 14 about feeding the flock of the slaughter, or slaughtering, is an interesting one. When a shepherd has a flock, he understands something. Ultimately, unless one of those animals or some of those animals die of their own age or disease or something, or they are killed by an animal, they're going to be eaten by him, by his family, and he'll probably do the killing. But while they're alive, he loves them, he cares for them, he gets them good food, he looks after them. If they're sick, he tries to heal them. He protects them at the risk of his own life. And so there is great tenderness and great care. The problem that the Lord has with Israel as his flock is that this is a flock that is very rebellious, will not pay any attention to the shepherd, would rather follow a false shepherd than follow an honest shepherd. And in essence, the problem that he has is that they are going to destroy themselves by following a false shepherd. And the problem that he's got is he has to turn over the chastening of these people to other nations of the earth. And he turns over the chastening of the people, not the destruction. Some opposition, some oppression. The problem is every time that has happened, it seems as though these people get overly enthusiastic, overly brutal, and they want to wipe out Israel. And so not only does he have to then rescue Israel from these people that were supposed to chasten them, but he has to chasten and war against the people who tried to destroy his promised people. And they will have civil wars, they'll have oppressive kings, there'll be ignorant things that they will do to one another. And that's a problem that he has, and that he is talked about here. In verses 11 to 13, it talks about the 30 pieces of silver. Give me my price. Well, 30 pieces of silver is exactly the amount of money that Judas was paid for betraying the Savior.